Hey my lovely couch watchers, welcome back to the channel, and today's video is about 5 must-watch K-drama. If you like our suggestions, do like, share and subscribe, and do leave a comment down there. First on the list is Dr. Romantic. Now, this particular show has got 3 seasons, and the only reason I have this on my list is because originally when I started watching, I thought this is a romantic show. And I started watching because of the main lead. Onion Sop was so good looking. I was like, yeah, I have to watch wherever he is. I don't care what the show is. But when I started watching, I really fell in love with the story itself. So, the story is about this Dr. Romantic. So he's the main lead actually. He's the one who is crazy about his profession and he loves doing what he does. And that's why he's called Mad Doctor. Onion Sop and the main lead does join the main doctor in his hospital. So he works in a hospital which is close to a highway, and no facility, no special what do you call services over there, and that's why no one would want to go and work there. But his techniques and strategies were so strong and so amazing that he would always have a success rate, and no one would be able to teach or do things which he could do. He was a very smart doctor, and if you work under him, you are you're progressing. So that's why these two doctors reached there accidentally or is being gone there because they were not really succeeding in a commercial hospitals, and that's how they go. It's more like Grey's Anatomy. So every episode has got different story and different patient and different patient's life, but it also has a lot to do with the characters which are in the hospital working there and their life. So it's connected to each other, and every character has their own story, how they meet. Even the main leads meet through their uni, and then they fell in love, but their journey as a doctors, growing up as doctors, is shown so beautifully that you will actually like watching it. It feels very like you're connected to the story, and I actually binge watch all 3 seasons, and that's the only reason I have this on my list. All right, number 2 on the list is Revenge of Others. The only reason I started watching this particular show is because I saw this reel on YouTube, and reel itself was very cute. So I thought the show would be cute, but actually the show was not cute. It had a great storyline. Now what happens is there are 2 main leads where the girl is actually going to a school because she comes to know her brother is dead. Now, they claim the brother is dead because of he committed suicide, but she knows very well that's not possible. That's where she meets the main lead called Park Salman. Now, Park Salman is there because he is studying in that school itself, but he's going through his misery in life. He's got a lot of ups and downs. The school is actually an elite school where a lot of elite people studies there and are quite bully as well in a way. But he is not elite. He is not someone who's from a very hi-fi family, and he's going through his own struggle, which shows in this particular show, where he meets the girl and somehow ends up protecting her in a lot of ways. Now it's a very thriller mystery show because they're trying to uncover who killed it, and in a way she even doubts the main lead as well, but at the same time she realizes he's helping her. So it's very confusing at the same time, but a lot of character twists and turns involved into it, because a lot of way they put it is very interesting and mysterious. For me, when I started watching, I literally kept watching. I didn't stop because every single episode had some thrilling things going on, and it was very like catchy, and I just wanted to know who the killer was. And eventually when you know who the killer was, you'll be very shocked because it was someone you would have not even thought in your slightest dream that he could have killed the brother. But it was very interesting to watch. So the only reason I have this on my list is because the script itself is very interesting, and at the same time there's not too much romantic scene or too much love, but the chemistry between them is very cute. I'll give it like 4 out of 5. All right, third on my list is Heirs. It's also known as Inheritance. I don't know why they changed the name later, but it's on Netflix, available, and was released in 2013. It's a very old show, but it's a very nice show. If you have not watched it, I would definitely recommend you to put it on your list as well. Now, this show is about a girl who's in a very misery, where she's with her mother who's got disability of speech, and she goes to meet her sister in US because she hopes that when she goes there she can find work, and she can earn some good money for her mother, because her mother works as a helper and she didn't want her mother to work as helper. So she goes there and she ends up meeting a main lead, which is Lee Min Ho, and over there she ends up encountering a lot of problems because because the sister actually doesn't help, and then she comes to know the reality that the sister is not very rich or not doing that well, and she's not able to help her. In fact, she goes to a point where she has no money left, and where the main lead really helps her. That's the story over there, where they actually had some encounter with each other, which is a very interesting encounter, enough for the main lead to come back to his own country. The girl goes back to the country as well, and they both eventually goes back to their life, but somehow never forgets about each other. Now back home in Korea, the main lead, Park Shin Hye, is back to her usual life, where her mother is working and helping her mother and going to this elite school, which ideally she's not able to afford, but because where the mother works as a helper, the main household owner allows her to study there as a package deal for her working there. When the main leads when Lee Min Ho comes back, he's actually in that house. He's the son of the owner. And the reason he's not there is because they have a lot of twisted issues that's going on in the house. The mother is actually the second wife of the main owner, his father, basically. So, a lot of complications over there, and that's the reason he's not living there. But somehow drags himself back here because somewhere down the line he had to pull towards this girl, and he really wants to find where she is. Well, even though they're staying under the same roof, they encounter each other very late, and when they do, he's quite shocked that she's there, but he doesn't want to let her go, so he helps her. And the school they go in is a very elite school, and if they come to know she's from a very poor background, they don't treat them well. Of course, I think it's a Korea issue all over. So he kind of protects her over there. And then there is this other guy who's in the show as well, who is Kim Wo Bin, and he's there because he used to be friends of Lee Min Ho, but then later they had a fight, and then Lee Min Ho goes away, and then he's the only bully in the school, and he tries to play around with Park Shin Hye, and a lot of complications going on. Basically, school drama sort of. But yeah, the interesting thing is the story is very interesting. Like, it's catchy. You can binge watch it. Actually, it's not boring in any given way, and very nicely portrayed, where you don't feel bored, and the story is put very well. I mean, I must say the old shows has some really good stories. So this is one of them that's on my list because of the storyline, because it's very interesting, and eventually the end is very like thoughtfully written, not very disappointing. It's a good end as well, so surely put on the list for sure. All right, fourth on my list is Suspicious Partner. You can watch it on Netflix, and it was aired in 2017. I know, again, in a very old one, but I have to say, all these K dramas, the old one had the best script, and if you haven't watched it, you have to watch it. That's why I said, if you haven't, add them to your list. Anyways, the story is about this lawyers. One is a prosecutor, who's our main lead, Ji Chang Wook, who somehow suspiciously gets involved in this murder mystery. Now let's start the story. The actress, who's Nam Jin Hyun, is studying law, and she just finished, and she started working as a lawyer under the prosecutors. And when she started studying, she was dating this guy who was very well known lawyer, was son of a very reputed chief prosecutor, and changes and twists his life in a very different way. And while they're going through all of that, they encounter a lot of cases where they a lot of difficulties, and somehow he comes back to help her, and tries to give her the no wonder the chemistry was beautiful, and that makes the show a lot more interesting and cheesy as well at the same time. But the number 5 on the list is W World Apart. This is a very different one again on the list, of course. 2016 release. I think 2013 to 2016 was the best era of Korean drama, because all the good dramas actually came then, and that's why I feel like this should be definitely added on your list as well. Now, come on, Lee Jong Suk is, oh my god, so good looking. I think all 5 of them have such good looking actors. I think that was the only reason or motivation of me even watching them. But then eventually I realized the scripts are also very good. The shows were actually very good. Now let's start with the story. So the main lead, who's Han Hyo Jo's father, was actually a doctor in the real world. And in the real world, the father of the main lead is a comic book writer. Now, his comics are very famous in the country and everyone's talking about it and this and that. She herself was never interested, but because her father is very famous and all, she always got this favor from the main lead doctor in her work, because he was a huge fan of the story and he would always ask about what's the next story and what's next going on, blah blah blah. One day she goes to meet her father just because the senior is a lot more interested in the story, and when she goes there, she realizes that the father was not there and was acting very weird. She didn't know what happened, but suddenly she gets dragged into the comic story. She doesn't realize how she ends up there, how what happened, why is she there, and she wouldn't get it. But she was in that world, and that world looked extremely real. Now here comes our main lead. Lee Jong Suk is actually part of that world. In that world, he's this famous person, a noble person, rich person who's helping people, who's very kind, who has had a very tragic story, and some killer is behind his life to kill him and all that. A very tragic, dramatic story. But she somehow meets him and saves him, because the storyline was all about him dying. That's what the father wrote. But somehow she reaches there and saves him. And that makes him even more curious about her. Now she keeps exiting and entering the whole two world, and she's traveling between two. She also doesn't understand how, and even he doesn't understand why she keeps going and coming. And even he's trying to discover truth. Eventually, the story progresses, and they do discover the truth, where exactly this all came from and how it all started, and somehow works together to end it. Now, throughout that time, they fall in love with each other, and that's where in the middle they started working together to get an end to this two world story. Eventually they do come across a lot of ups and downs, a lot of thrilling, a lot of mystery, a lot of fights that happens. It's very interesting in a way, not very realistic. Like all other four show has a lot of realistic thing, but this is very like drama fantasy. So if you like something very like too much into fantasy, then this is your ideal fantasy to watch. Of course, the good looking actor always helps, like I said. So if you like the video, like, share and subscribe.